Today we'll be learning about the arrangement of the electrons in the atom. So we have learned that electrons are actually found in electron shells, and today we will be learning more about them. Okay, so let's look at our guided notes. So first, the first electron shell there are many electron shells, right? So if we consider the nucleus in the middle, let's take for example sodium. So you have Na, then there's one electron shell around the sodium, and then there's another electron shell around the sodium, and there are many electron shells around sodium, right? So the first electron shell can hold up to 2 electrons. So only 2 electrons in the first shell, and the second and the third shell can usually hold up to 8 electrons, and this is definitely true at the O levels. Okay, so first shell 2 electrons only, and the second and third shell 8 electrons. Now, a new word for all of us to learn, right? The electrons in the outer shell of the atom is called the valence electrons. Okay, so this is a new word, and please take note of it. The word valence just means outermost. So the word valence can be used as valence shell, right? So outer shell is also called the valence shell. But the electron found in the outermost shell is also called the valence electron. So that's a very important word for all of us to know. Why? Because the chemical properties of an element actually depends on the number of valence electrons. Because, right, the valence electrons are the electrons that actually participate in a chemical reaction. So depending on the number of valence electrons, they will have that number of that chemical property, right? Okay, next one, put a star here, right? Elements with the same number of valence electrons belong to the same group. And for those who are unfamiliar, the group is actually the vertical column. Right, so these are groups. So just for reference, group 1 has 1 valence electron, while group 2 has 2 valence electrons, and so on. Group 3 have 3, group 4 has 4, group 5 has 5, group 6 has 6, group 7 has 7. Okay, so keeping that in mind, right, let's learn how to draw some electron configuration. So let's turn to this page and let's look at, let's start from lithium. Okay, so now lithium has a proton number of 3. The symbol of lithium is Li. Alright, so now there are shells in the electrons. So I would like to put them as like an underline. So in the first shell, they can hold a maximum of 2 electrons. Lithium has a proton number of 3, so therefore lithium needs to have 3 electrons. Okay, so the first shell can only hold 2 electrons. So there's not enough space for all 3 electrons on the first shell. So the first shell, there's 2 electrons, and then we'll put a comma, and then the second shell. So now 2 electrons of lithium is in the first shell. There is only 1 electron left, so that 1 electron will go to the second shell. Can you see that? Right, so now there's a total of 3 electrons. Now, how do we say this electronic configuration? This is called 2.1. Okay, we will call it a 2.1 electronic configuration. Okay, now how do we draw this? So follow me. So we draw Li, we draw the first shell. Now the first shell has 2 electrons, and we will always draw it in a north, south, east, west type of way. So 2 electrons, first one north, second one south, right? And that's the max of the first shell. So what do? I draw a second shell, and then after that I do north, and then there's only 1 electron. Okay, so this is the electronic configuration of the atom. Okay, now let's look at beryllium. Okay, so beryllium have a symbol of Be, and because it has a proton number of 4, beryllium has also 4 electrons. Okay, so the first shell, how many can it hold? So the first shell can only hold 2 electrons. So first shell, 2 electrons. So how many more electrons do we have? Total I have 4 electrons. So I have 2 electrons the first shell. The second shell I need to have 2 electrons. So second shell also 2 electrons. So the electronic configuration of beryllium, we pronounce it as 2.2. Okay, now let's draw the electronic configuration. So Be, and then the first shell have a maximum of 2. So north, south. Second shell, we have a total of 2. So north, south. So that's how we draw beryllium. Okay? Okay, let's try something else. Nitrogen. So nitrogen symbol is N. And because nitrogen has a proton number of 7, right? Therefore, the number of electrons is also 7. So for those who are very quick with math, you should know that the first shell is 2 and the second shell has a remaining 5. Can the second shell hold 5? Yes, definitely, because the second shell can hold a maximum of 8. Okay, so now how do we draw this? Okay, how do we draw this? So we do N, first shell got 2, so just north, south. Second shell, we need 5. So how do we do this? So north, south, east, west. That is 4 electrons. So what do we do again? We go north again. So we will pair up this electron nicely over here. So you can count, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 valence electrons in nitrogen. So that's how you draw and how you pair your electrons. Okay, so let's take a look at another one on the next page. So let's look at magnesium. Okay, let's look at magnesium. So magnesium has a symbol of Mg, and magnesium has a proton number of 12, meaning it has 12 protons, and because it's an atom, it also has 12 electrons. So the first shell maximum has 2 electrons. Now how many electrons do we have left? So 12 minus 2, that means I have 10 electrons left. Okay, so is there enough space in the second shell for 10 electrons? No, right? So the maximum that I can hold for the second shell is 8. And I still have not finished all my electrons, right? So 2.8, and then I have 10, I need 2 more. So 2.8.2. Okay, right, so now how do we draw this? Let me make my pen finer. Right, so Mg, right, the first shell have 2. So again, north, south. So I got 2. Second shell, I have 8. So this is how we're going to draw it. So north, south, east, west. Again, north, south, east, west. So now I have a total of 8 electrons on magnesium. Right, and the last shell is full already, right? So I need to draw another shell, and after that, this is north and then south. Alright, so that's how you draw magnesium. Right, I hope you will spend your time now to practice. Fill up the first 3 columns of all of this one over here. Right, you really need to practice this. This is very important for all your future chapters. Okay, have fun practicing. Good luck. Bye bye.